So this will be a pretty short video because honestly not that much to talk about. I did Astra last time and this time I did Fade as per the wheel's demands, and honestly I only ran into one issue the entire time, and it's one I'm afraid will be a recurring problem with these Valorant characters, so let me just bitch about it real quick so I won't need to again. It is almost impossible to match up the Lego print colors to the in-game model because of these gradients and off colors all throughout the character model. In this character sheet, which I'm using because the concept art is too messy and stylized to tell me anything, Fade's vest here is a pretty dark blue in the middle before fading out into a lighter blue. Okay, so I can use earth blue or pastel blue for the torso print depending on whether I want to focus on the darker or lighter parts. Okay, so now there's the middle zip, clearly also a darker blue, darker than the rest of the torso for sure, but earth blue is as dark a blue as it gets, so I guess the torso has to be darker. Okay, but looking at both references, this is clearly inaccurate, so this won't do. I guess they both have to be earth blue because in the concept art it's much darker. Wait, the zipper lines here are even darker than the torso, but the in-game model has it much brighter, so it's either a dark royal blue or a medium azure. Okay, let's just leave the vest for now and look at the pants. Why are they purple in the concept art and dark grey but with purplish hue? There's no colour that comes close to this. I either go too purple or too grey. There's no way I can't make these all the same colour. They're clearly the same colour as these. There's no sand blue anywhere else. Like characters. And the belt. So the face print. Fade has different coloured eyes which I wanted to draw attention to, so I used Barris Offie as a base and just changed one of the eye colours. By happy coincidence, the mouth print was pretty much already perfect, so I didn't need to change anything there either. Then it was just adding the face details like the sharp horizontal line, the piercings, and the streaks on the outside of each eye. When I first printed the nose piercing though, I tried to get the angle close to the reference, but it just looked like I was printing a small nose on her, so that wasn't working. I ended up printing it off to the side a little, against the tilt of her posed head, so it's clearly a piercing, and that was that. Posing her was a little tricky because the minifigure extension doesn't allow elbows to bend inwards this specific way. Not the biggest deal honestly. What it ended up as was fine, even though it's not absolutely perfect. In contrast to Astra, there was no extreme poses here at least, so I didn't need to worry about distortion on the prints. Torso print was handy enough. You can probably see in the time-lapse that I was struggling to pick the colours for her, as I mentioned already. But other than that, the actual detailing was very intuitive. I changed the handprint tattoo birthmark thing she has on her neck area to be a minifigure hand shape instead. Thought that was funny. And yeah, nothing else to mention with it really, aside from that a part of the vest ran into the waist print. No big deal. Even the main torso colour here I left transparent so I could just play around with the plastic base colour in Blender and figure it out later. Waist print was more of the same, nothing wild either. At this point I kind of wish there was some challenge I could talk about here just so I can let the time-lapse run in the background. Your boy didn't allocate 200 megabytes of storage to make this time-lapse for nothing. I might go crazy and introduce something revolutionary like background music to these in the future so I don't need to fill every second with my insightful commentary. But for now, yeah, nothing really to mention. Her right leg print included a continuation of the waist print, but that was manageable too. Again, colour issues really made this harder than it needed to be because otherwise the details could just be put where they needed to be. I decided to print the boots on instead of doing a dual mold for the same reason as Astra, namely that having dual molded legs would imply that she's wearing very tall boots, which is inaccurate, while also eating into the space I could otherwise use for printing. Left leg was even handier still. I exaggerated the stapled section in the middle because I think it made it more interesting to look at, and I continued the prints from the waist as needed. Again, nothing crazy. This is where I decided to colour these trouser sections a sand blue instead of a light grey. It felt like it needed some variety in the colour here, but at the same time the sand blue felt very out of place palette wise. I don't know man, I did what I could but nothing looked right here, so if anyone has any alternate colour suggestions for these I'd be more than willing to go back and change it even just to experiment, but this was the best I could do. So the Photoshop adjustments were next, and sure enough that was just erasing one hair layer to reveal the other colour. Not a new technique at all, I've done some variation of this a good few times at this point, and that was that. The final figure. Pretty forgettable, honestly. Borderline routine at this point. So yeah, let's see who's next. Unlike the Apex characters, these guys are pretty much all the same to me, so I'm kind of indifferent as to what it lands on. If I had to pick one I wanted to do right now, I'd say Chamber or Omen could be fun. Yeah, this guy should be handy enough, I think. Yeah, alright. We'll take it.